Do you want to do the intro? Or should I do the intro? Sheila. Okay, I'll do the intro. What is happening, guys? I'm TechSource and your co-host, Shayla Oganessian. Welcome to Setup Wars, episode 269. I actually wanted to do another girls edition in the honor of my daughter, but unfortunately, we are one submission short, so we have to postpone that for another video. But nonetheless, if you guys want to be part of the show, make sure to watch the video link down below. But with that said, sit back and relax. Say it, Shayla, you know it. You know the words. Because you know what time it is. People assume for some reason that I make all my money from YouTube when that is not the case. A good portion of my earnings are actually from other things as well, like real estate and investments. But I don't have the time to study the market and do the investments myself, so I have experienced people do it for me. Which is why I've partnered with today's sponsor, Titan, to let you guys know that you can also invest like a pro without any experience. Titan is a premier investment firm for the everyday investor. They offer the best investment experience in the world in a way that's accessible for all income levels. All it takes is $100 to get started on your journey towards wealth and savvy investing. What I like about Titan is that they built a mobile app and not an ETF or a mutual fund, because it allows them to explain to you exactly what's happening and how they are managing your money. The best part is that there are no fees on your gains or lockups, just a low flat rate advisory and record-breaking returns. Titan was also named Top Advisor of the Year by US News. So get started today, guys, at titan.com/techsource or click the link below to get your first 3 months of expert investment management for 0 fees. We are not wasting any time, ladies and gentlemen. We're jumping straight into a badass Vegeta-themed gaming setup. Just look at that presentation, the colors, the symmetry, the personality. Man, I'm already in love with this setup. How many Vegeta-themed setups have you guys seen? Jason is an office worker from the UK that built this setup for light gaming and watching YouTube and Netflix. He started planning for the setup a little over 2 years ago by sketching everything in his notebook. The centerpiece is, of course, the giant Samsung Odyssey G9 that he does everything on. And it looks like he even skinned the bezel for that consistency, which, by the way, let me just say, he did an absolutely amazing job with across the setup. I also love the custom work he has done to the desk. You know, he took a very boring Ekback and countertop from IKEA and he added some really cool vinyl work on there just to spice it up a bit. And he even skinned the edge of the desk in carbon fiber. I love it. There is just so much precision in this setup. I've noticed all the little details, like how the vinyl kind of outlines the skinned PS4 on the left side and how it also stays parallel to the angle of the PC on the other side. This wasn't just an accident, it was planned. The fact that he was able to find a Vegeta-themed keyboard and mouse is enough to prove to you guys that he is not only dedicated to the color scheme, but also the Vegeta theme. I don't know where he got those wall shelves from, but they fit the theme of the setup so perfectly, especially with that blue accent color that you skinned on there. He even took 3 of the same wall shelves and flipped it upside down to create a monitor riser. I love the creativity here. The setup actually doesn't have any headphones, so all the audio is outputted from the soundbar. I don't even have to look at the cable management because I already know it's going to be managed perfectly. But a few things I noticed underneath here is that he also skinned the bottom part of the Alex units and the middle support leg. And my guy even has a Vegeta mat on the bottom. Can you be more dedicated than this guy? Seriously. Actually, you can. Jason even has blue cable clips for the cable management. I don't know if that was intentional, but I thought I'd point it out anyways. He does own a PS4 that he often plays on, but he's mostly on his custom system that he built using one of my build guides. No surprise, it's a Vegeta-themed PC rocking the Ryzen 5 2600X with an MSI RX 5700 XT and a custom panel on the bottom, which is used to display a video wallpaper of Vegeta. I am in love with this. I also love how he incorporated some yellow in the PC and other parts of the setup, from the keycaps all the way to the Funko Pops up top, just to complement the Dragon Ball logo. I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm honestly just blown away by the creativity and breath of fresh air that this setup has brought to the show. Everything was carefully planned out and perfectly executed. Absolutely stunning setup with tons of creativity. I love this setup for so many reasons, and it is without a doubt worthy of a seal of approval. So Jason, if you're watching this video, congrats on taking home the 32nd seal of approval. Go ahead and toss me an email to claim your one-of-a-kind plaque. Well done. Coming up next is Robert from Winnie the Pooh, Canada, and his motorized dual PC setup. So the first thing I noticed is that both the setup and the PC are split up. And the biggest problem with this is you are limited on how much you can raise the desk, since you are basically pulling on the cables that are connected to the back of the PC when you raise up the desk. This means you need to create a much longer cable slack than needed to compensate. So the setup's purpose is for work, gaming, and watching media. We have a single 27-inch 4K monitor on the left, which is the secondary, while the main 27-inch on the right is the main monitor with a higher 144Hz refresh rate. The left 4K monitor is also connected to his Mac Mini, so when he needs to get some work done, he just switches the inputs over. I would also advise in buying a USB switcher so that you can switch your keyboard and mouse over to the Mac Mini when you're using that system, instead of just going with two different keyboards and mice, unless of course you use both at the same time. Now for audio, we do have a set of HomePod minis that are hooked up to the Mac Mini, while the PC runs off a Bose S1 Pro that's on the floor. Despite the PC not being on the same desk, I think it did a pretty good job overall with the cable management. Speaking of which, we do have a custom PC that's packing the Ryzen 7 3700X and a Founders Edition 3060 Ti inside that tiny H210 case, looking good. I do love the finishing touches from the nanoleaf shapes on the wall and a bit of Funko Pops for some personality, but all in all, a very solid and complete setup. Thank you, Robert, for sharing this with us. So this next setup is a perfect example of form over function. Luke from Liverpool, England is a teacher and day trader that built the setup for the very same reasons: teaching online classes, day trading, and a little bit of gaming. But the problem with this setup is that it's just too cramped. Luke wanted to keep everything on the desk when that's just not possible with a giant G9 monitor. This not only blocks off both the speakers, but also the awesome custom PC in the back. But I get it, there's not enough wall space for a larger desk, so he's kind of limited on what he can do here. And well, this is where I come in and give you some options that I'm sure you already have considered. One obvious option would be to install a wall shelf on the right side above the monitor and put your PC on there, which would mean you would have to move the 43-inch TV to the left to make room for that. You can also just leave the PC there but mount the speakers instead if you really care about audio. There are a bunch of speaker mounts that you can buy that get mounted against the wall, or you can get creative and attach them to the side of the monitors using some acrylic boards and Velcro straps. It's such a good looking system too, so I would really make an effort to have it displayed somewhere, or at the very least have it be seen. This thing is packed to the teeth with a Ryzen 9 5900X and the MSI RTX 3080 Gaming X Trio. Damn, you gotta show off this bad boy, man. I feel like you've always built cramped setups from the beginning. I mean, just look at your very first setup. You have a giant monitor on a tiny stand, so it makes sense that you would carry over the same theme to your current setup. But yeah, jokes aside, it's a really great setup, but with just limited space. Thank you, Luke, for sharing this with us. Coming at number 4 is Marcus from the UK and his pretty interesting corner desk setup. It's very unusual seeing the PC on the left side for this type of setup, but given his room layout, it makes the most sense as the door is located right behind him. We have a dual stack monitor setup for gaming and light Twitch streaming. The bottom 35-inch ultrawide is the main monitor, while the top 27-inch is for multitasking, and that's also the only monitor that's mounted to the desk. Below that, we got the wireless Asus ROG Falchion 60% paired with the wireless Dark Core mouse and a pretty badass World of Warcraft mousepad. Now for audio, the setup mostly uses studio monitors with a sub on the floor, but for gaming, he does swap over to the Void Pros that are hanging from his blue Snowball Ice microphone. I think Marcus did a really good job decorating his room. A lot of people just focus on the setup and leave everything else untouched. So then you're left with this obvious transition from gaming to the rest of the room. I feel like there's a nice balance of lighting and personality in here, and I especially like this corner of the room where he built a cute little IKEA Lindemann setup with a custom Picade arcade machine and a shelf filled with collectibles. Finishing up with his beautiful custom PC that's powering the setup. We have another all AMD build featuring the Ryzen 5 5600X that's overclocked to 4.75 GHz and the Gigabyte RX 6800 XT. What a beauty. Such an awesome gaming room you have built here. Thank you, Marcus, for sharing this with us. We are finishing up the episode with a wholesome father and son setup. Nelbert from North Dakota works as an industrial control systems technologist who's also a single parent. So he had to combine everything into one setup: working, gaming, and taking care of his son. Shout out to you, Nelbert, and all the single parents out there, by the way. I know it isn't an easy task. I love that you came up with a nice solution to make your life a little easier. So let's start off with his son. At first, I thought he had an entire server rack integrated into his setup, but turns out that's actually for the dad setup. His PC is in the Corsair Carbide Air 740, and it has some pretty decent specs too. We got the i7-8700K paired with an NVIDIA GTX 1060. The PC is hooked up to dual 27-inch HP monitors with some wireless Logitech peripherals. The dad setup also has 2 monitors, but the bottom one is an ultra-wide, and for peripherals, he's rocking a K100 with a dark core mouse. Pretty straightforward stuff here, but I do want to take a closer look at this massive tower. Looks like it's a Christmas-themed custom water-cooled build inside the Thermaltake WP100. We have a Threadripper 2950X paired with an MSI RTX 3080. What a festive beast. Such a cool father and son setup you got here. Thank you, Nelbert, for sharing this with us. As a reminder, you guys can always pick up a cheap Windows CD key for less than $15. Just click on my link below and use the code TS20 for an extra 20% off. Once you get your CD key, just visit the activation settings in Windows and change your product key. It's that simple. Okay, it's time for the outro. Shay, look at the camera. Don't look at my shirt over there. Shay, look. Hi, it's time for the outro. Look at the camera. Look at the camera. Good girl. Alright, so that is it for today's video. As always, make sure you guys comment below. Let me know which of these setups was your absolute favorite, and let me know why. If you guys are enjoying the new season of Setup Wars, as always, make sure to toss a like before you head out, and consider subscribing, because I do host Setup Wars every single Monday. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon in the next one. Oh, you're such a big girl. You're such a big girl. My arm is dying, baby girl. Which setup was your favorite? Which one did you like? You don't like any of them? Okay. She's so picky. You're so picky like your daddy. Let's go.